started to think about the fact that somebody from the outside, not from the inside, needed to run for state attorney. And I kept on rattling it through my brain as I heard things over and over again. And I was hoping somebody would step up from the outside looking in, that maybe had been in, but no one else was stepping up. So I made the decision to run. And I made that decision formally whenever I finally told Deborah.
January?
Because I didn't tell her initially. I think my daughter was the first to know, actually. And I talked to her about it, and then I talked to my son, and then Deborah then Deborah. And she could have vetoed it, but she didn't, because she's supportive, and she's actually a really great campaigner from the last time. So there are lots of problems, as I said, within the office. I have made a commitment that if I'm elected, not if, but when I'm elected state attorney, I'm going to be an active state attorney. What does that mean? That means that they're going to see me in the courthouse. Dave's a nice guy, but you don't see him in the courthouse. You don't see him in the courtroom. I have made a commitment to the assistants that are there now and the assistants that will be there in the future that I'm going to be in that courthouse 3 to 4 days a week, because they need the help. They need the training. They need a state attorney that sets an example. I'm going to try cases with them. I'm going to show them how to win their cases. But also, I'm going to show them how to be compassionate when compassion is necessary. I'm going to show them how to be ethical. I'm going to show them how to understand why the defendant that they're prosecuting is there. Because some people need to go to prison, and they need to go to prison for a really long time. But not everybody does. Some people need treatment. They need counseling. Whether it be for mental health or for drug addiction or some other issue. Not everybody needs to be just swept into the jail system. And there are things out there that are built into the system, what we've been saying is tools in the toolkit that can be used to help people. And why is that important? Because we want to reduce the crime rate. We want to stop recidivism. We want to try to get people out the first time they come in. The first time. And one of the examples that we talk about is pretrial intervention. You know, state attorneys right now, they'll say, well, I'm giving them a withhold and court costs and probation, but that has a negative effect on them. They think they're doing a favor. That same person would qualify for some deferred prosecution, and ultimately the charges get dropped and they can turn their life around. They have that possibility of putting it behind them and moving on, whether it's through drug rehab or mental health counseling or whatever. I don't want to take a lot of time. A lot of you know me. I appreciate the fact that you're here. I believe I can do a really good job as state attorney. I can bring that compassion to the job. Being a prosecutor is not just about prosecuting. It's not. It shouldn't be. It should be more than that. It should be understanding how people get from point A to point B and sometimes to point C. In my capital cases, and I've done at least 20 or plus first-degree murder cases in my 38 years, I can always tell how somebody got from point A to point B. How did they get to that point where they're charged with first-degree murder? And a lot of those people could have avoided getting from point to point B if somebody had stepped in earlier and not simply just given them 30 days in jail or sent them to prison for 18 months and basically given up on them early. And so somebody wouldn't have been murdered, somebody wouldn't be going to prison for the rest of their lives, children wouldn't be losing their fathers or their mothers. There's ways to do it. And right now, the office doesn't understand that. And I believe I can bring that to the job.